And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of The Jaylee Show. Ooh. I'm your host, Jay Ludgrove, and each week we sit down with brands and businesses and people all over the world and talk about how they've been, how they're doing, and how they're going to do in the future. This week we have the awesome Paul Brown. How are you, sir?
First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everyone in America.
Big one, big one. I realized that I sent a bunch of invoices out on Thanksgiving, which isn't really necessarily the coolest thing to do. A lot of people came back being like, "Yeah, it's Turkey Day."
They're not going to get paid today. Let's be honest.
No chance. So, how are you, sir? We've been messaging all day. It was good to see you out on your run today. How far did you go?
5K. I try and do 5K every day. So,
Wow.
Yeah, and go for a run. See what's going on in London. See if we can get some content creation ideas. Feel anything that's exciting going on, and then back in the office. And I was on time, which I'm very happy about.
You were indeed, absolutely. When I saw it, and you were like, "There's Big Ben, there's the London Eye." Big Ben tells me I got 15 minutes to get there. I was like, "Okay, cool, all right, man knows his time. Doesn't have a wristwatch, but he's got a clock available."
When you're in London, they get stolen. So, yeah.
So for those out there who haven't followed you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and Baked Bean Media.
Yeah, sure. So my background is ex-chef, then set up a small property business in Cornwall, sunny Cornwall, and then spent 14 years with a recruitment company, third person in the company, as one of the founders, and then grew it up to 100 people.
Wow.
And then left. But in the last couple of years, I was doing social media, marketing, events.
Yeah.
And then just kind of wanted that flexibility to look for industries that weren't in the recruitment company. So just get out there, see what's in the sports world and food world and other things, really. So that's where it all happened, really.
That's one of the things I love about, like, in my previous life, I worked in IT for a decade, and every conversation was with a CTO, chief technology officer, or a security guy, or a networking person, and it was all tech all the time. And it's been 5 years actually this month that we've been running, and it's been just so cool to look back. And we've posted every single day for the month of November under Throwvember of just stuff we've created. Right, it's from stuff back in the day, and looking through it and being like, "Oh yeah, there was a toxicology company, and there's an engineering company that's been around for 100 years, and there's a Hindu temple, and there's this, and there's Nike, and there's all these different businesses and different things we managed to work on over the time." And look back and just be like, "Wow." In IT, it was I would have looked back and been like, "I sold all those firewalls, all of them firewalls." And it's amazing to get out of one niche and. That's the thing I love about marketing, and it's what I find. And you tell me if you find the same thing. But there'll be stuff I find in one industry which wouldn't, when you think of it as an idea, isn't necessarily something you'd ever come up with in another industry. But by able to working kind of agnostically across everywhere, you pick up random little ideas that end up being so successful elsewhere.
Yeah, I think with ourselves, we've only been going for just gone up to a year now. So we've kind of done sports, biotech, finance, back into recruitment. So yeah, I'll be honest, my experience of working in different industries is still quite novice. So yeah, I'm trying to. I sometimes get ideas from like watching an advert and then thinking, why don't we do that in a totally different industry, and taking what Sainsbury's are doing and bringing it into a different industry.
I love that. We always talk about it. My head of operations before working here hadn't worked on an edited video, and spent the last 3-4 years becoming an absolute killer at that. And tons of times he comes in and was like, watching that video at the weekend, we've used that bit of music. Like, we used that, but we used it on a little internet campaign. Like, they can do better than that. That's on TV. And you got to see behind the curtain too much. All you see is the edit.
They may have stolen your idea. You were the source of that idea.
I was the first user of that terrible bit of stock. Yeah. So first year, how's it been? Great year to kick off.
Yeah, it's been an absolute roller coaster. I post really positive,
Mm,
so I don't really ever say about the negatives or anything. But yeah, it's been a tough year. We started off really well,
yeah.
you know, 6 people hiring, growing, and then cut it right down. Obviously, with the COVID came along, all our clients dried up during the summer,
Yeah.
and we weren't able to furlough because we were
Yep.
directors of new companies.
Ah,
So yeah, there was a lot of tough times. I've never told anyone this, but yeah, it was tough. Cut. I've gone from a director's salary to a startup salary,
I
paying
hear you.
yourself very small, and then not having that income and not having a lot of savings, and yeah, just they really have to cut back on things. And then yeah, obviously now pushing forward. Had a great November, to be honest,
Yeah, I'm finding the
and
same thing.
December isn't looking great, but I think we've definitely got a handful of or 100, sorry, not 100, 10 good clients paying,
Perfect.
and lots of calls coming in. So yeah, we're definitely not in a bad position, but it has been tough.
And that is the place to be. It's even when it is a story of woe, and it's just a story of woe for everyone. I've not spoken to anyone who's like, "Ah, I'm killing it," right? It's been such a struggle for everyone. But to walk into this year as your first year and already have a great couple of months before everything gets shut down and survive and to weather the storm, like that's incredible. And it's the first record I ever bought was Bruce Willis playing harmonica, and it was "What Don't Kill You Makes You Stronger."
Yeah,
So very much the same thing in a business sense. I've seen a lot of people in our industry and all industries like just kind of disappear. I think one of the things you've been incredible at is staying so consistent and releasing content all throughout this, especially when your resources have been cut in half.
yeah.
Um,
I actually don't use baked bean media resources. And I'm not a great editor. I just kind of cut up maybe 5 clips into a real basic program and then
yeah,
just pull it. And my business partner Andy, he's the video guy, the professional guy, and
hey,
we've got
hey,
great,
we're on the same page here. I don't know how
yeah,
to edit a video.
we've got a great relationship, and he's very fast. If anything I give to him, he can produce it and send it back to me very fast. But he's got client stuff to get on with,
Mm,
and I say, it's not the Paul Brown show. It's he's got work. So if I've got an idea, I normally try and run with it myself. And then the other flip thing is you've got to, when you're talking to people, you've got to do what you preach,
yeah.
and I can't say to a client, you've got to sign up and spend loads and loads of money on video editing and stuff. Get your iPhone out and have a go yourself and see what works, what doesn't work. So
But that's I've always been amazed. 5 years ago, when we started and came into the industry, there were so many, digital. There were a ton of great digital marketing agencies, but it was still in a case of a lot of those businesses that are now killers were startups or they're just in their genesis. So a lot of the traditional digital marketing agencies that are still around, and they just don't promote themselves. They don't show any of this good stuff that their clients are going to be able to purchase of them. Like we call it eating our own dog food, right? If we're going to serve this dog food, then at least we can do is eat it. So we help people live stream. So we have a live stream, and is it we signed up to this when we were given access to LinkedIn live, and we're saying if this is something we carry on for 3 months, great, because then we've got an example of live streaming ever since. This is an example of the marketing go out. But it amazes me how many places are out there that are we do this, 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 and this, and I'm like, you do? Because apart from that services bit on your website, I've never seen you do any example of it ever. Whereas we were saying before the show started, the content that you release is just varied. It's awesome. Some's funny, some's informative, some's both. So it means you can actually see you've got a smorgasbord of content to look through and be like, "Ooh, love that. Wish I could have one of those."
yeah, I think we're going to go into content creation in a minute, but I definitely think I'm always thinking about ideas. I'm not thinking about will it work or not work. I already know not to offend. I'm never going to put anything up that's going to try and offend anyone or raise. You know, but I am trying to think of what I would like to watch, what I
Mm,
find interesting, and I think yeah, if you do kind of think about what you like watching on social media, then, what bores you, don't post that stuff. So yeah, yeah.
It's amazing how often I'll say stuff to people, be like, "Do you ever do that? Like, why are you focusing on a company page on LinkedIn but not your people? Have you ever contacted a LinkedIn page and be like, I'd like to buy your stuff?" I don't like you can't even send a LinkedIn page a message. So, but then I speak to tons of businesses who are just desperate to throw everything. I've got to build my LinkedIn presence. I'm like, you do, but it's people. People buy from people, right?
Yeah, I think
They're
it
the
comes
better thing to
back
push.
to the Richard Branson thing of, yeah, I make these numbers up. I say this all the time. He's got 10 million followers, and Virgin's got 1 million followers. I think that's a great way to think about it. And yeah, Jay, do you focus a lot on your LinkedIn page?
Company page.
Yeah,
No, so what our focus has always been, just as a way of getting the mechanics out, to provide enough content to release on a company page, but not as a focus on it, and not but essentially put good content out there to die. Is we'll post it personally. So all the content that we release is released by profiles first, and then we re-release that content as a company, which means when I've got this daily show and I do videos and other bits and pieces, so they're a whole stream of content that we can post to the GL Pro page in a month or two. It also means every time we do a video and we know we're going to cut it up into 4 or 5 pieces of content, we know we've got 4 or 5 posts for the company page as and when that happens. But it also means we kind of get a secondary bump, because when the company shares something, we'll naturally comment on it as stuff as part of the business. So we're sharing it again. So what it means is a show like this, for instance, the show gets released, we release it as a company, then we'll release a promo talking about it, so will the company. So we get to keep pushing back into the funnel. But essentially, I think a company page is somewhere you can go to look at portfolio work or find out if someone's a thought leader. But I don't want to spend loads of time or people's energy like creating content just to sit on a company page, and numbers, right? It comes down to numbers. A company page has like 1,100 people, whereas I have 6 or 7 thousand
yeah,
followers,
okay.
right? And just as simple as that. But now if we add me in, plus Katie, our salesperson, our operations person, Simon, all of a sudden that's like 20, 30,000 people sharing that, or followers, sorry, sharing out that same content.
We think, especially this year with me with the startup, and obviously you as a small business.
Mm.
Um, when was in the recruitment world, we had people churning all the time, and
Right?
100 people, and we had 30, 40,000 followers that we never ever even thought about doing anything with.
Saying hello to, sure, yeah.
It's crazy, like, yeah, if I had them now, it'd be crazy. But like, we had 30, 40,000 people following that page, and yeah, just we never really did a lot about it. And that was one of my things that I proposed to the board was, in the last couple of years, I was going to start managing this and try and get our message across and
Mm.
posting videos, a lot more regular videos. And it was definitely working in the last year. And one of the deals when I left was that I would come on as a freelancer to keep it going. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. And I've seen that happen so many times in businesses where essentially like the marketing team gets so good at what they're doing. They're like, listen, we can take care of you at a day a week at this point. Like we've got this all singing and all dancing. I can do the same job. I don't need to be here for the rest of the time. Save some money. I can start a business. I've got a client. I can then, kick it off and wrapping. I literally can think of like 5 or 6 businesses started like that. I should have done that. I should have got good at what we were doing first, instead of just going out and being like, does anyone want podcasts?
How are you finding the podcast world at the moment? It seems a lot of people are starting them up, and
Lot of people,
yeah,
lot of people, man. So yeah, it's like everyone and their gran in America already had a podcast, and now all of their friends have started podcasts too. I think it's the same thing like webinars. There's been huge death by webinar. All those companies would never have thought of doing a webinar before, or any kind of live event, are now doing tons and tons of them. Where I think it will be great is some shows will carry on. Some webinars will carry on, right? Some actually have value. And I've spoken to so many people who were like, yeah, we were doing weekly updates during COVID lockdown 1. And I'm like, cool. Lockdown 2. They're like, nah, we might do one.
yeah.
Okay. Well, it's about consistency, isn't it? So I'm hoping this year has actually breeded a bunch of great shows. Well, one of my ones, which I sing the praises of all the time, one of my favorites is Fake Doctors, Real Friends, which
Yep.
is the Scrubs rewatch podcast. I heard them talking about it just the other day, saying like, maybe we're going to stop this when the world opens and we get like, back to work. So how many places are there like that at the moment where people have the time essentially to run a show, to run a webinar, to do whatever they want, and will they have it in the future? But it's been crazy. There's a lot of people wanting to start podcasts, and what's kind of cool for us is that we can provide a higher quality of that. So as you said earlier, grab your phone, start recording. First thing you should start to, you want to get a podcast going, hit record on your phone, right? That's
Yeah.
the beginning. But when it starts to get a little bit more on, we can help it take it to its next level. So it's a lot of sifting through people who are like, I want to start a show. And it's like, cool, how much you got? They're like, I was thinking about buying a $99 mic. That's the budget. Cool. In that case, you should do this, and this yourself. Good luck. Take it easy, right?
Yeah, I think though a lot of people, corporates, small businesses, can see the value of. I compare it as like me personally having a cleaner in the aspect of I do clean actually because it's bloody lockdown, but when it's not lockdown, I pay someone to clean just because it's theoretically cheaper for me to do that than yeah. And basically, the same with podcasting is that people pay us because it is a lot more
Time.
quicker and efficient on their time versus them trying to do it. And yeah, it is tough. How it is. It is tough to edit a video. We are not
It's
natural video editors.
No, and it's not rocket science. I always say it to everyone. Like, it's a fun thing to do, editing. It's really rewarding when you get it done, and it's not something you necessarily go and have to go and do a degree to even begin to start doing. You can sit down and kind of make something relatively like easily, but it will take ages. Like, and it's a time thing. So, I tell people all the time, if you have 8 hours a week to sit down and edit your own show, it might be a better show when you first start it because it'll be exactly what you want from it. Like, that you might have that full creative control. But I don't know anyone who has 8 hours extra to spare right now.
Yeah.
I just don't.
The good thing about editing, and a lot of people forget this, is that you actually learn, you self-learn because you hear yourself umming and ahhing. You go, next time I do a podcast, I am not going to say So
Yeah, same with videos. Okay, so what's your one? What do you? Are you a ummer? Are you a?
Massive bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when it comes to me editing, I'm sure Premiere Pro, there should be a button I just push and it chops it all up.
The de-ummer. Oh yeah, they're still working on that one.
But I was talking to, I forgot his name, and he was mentioning, I've got some notes here from last time, Descript, and literally you do a podcast. I haven't tried it yet, and it then basically matches a word what you're saying for an actual text word, and then if I say the word J, push a button, it could take out all the J's, and it links the text and the sound bite, and it cuts them all out. So I'm sure if it went it could do it all. So
especially because I mean I've watched our guys do it where they get to the point where they're like, I know this guy's ums. I know this gal's ums, like they look like that, and they're just sat going. You can see that that's an . For me, that's like looking over Cypher's shoulder, staring at the Matrix. Like, I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm maybe a slightly better video editor than you, but no, I can almost blind edit a podcast with obviously gaps and my ums now.
Yeah.
So.
So before the show, we were posting out on LinkedIn, and you mentioned some exclusives which you were talking about beforehand. So hit me. What's your exclusive?
Probably the worst exclusive you'll ever hear in your life. But I think I've noticed on LinkedIn they don't give you birthday notifications anymore.
No more niceness from LinkedIn. It's over.
No, but maybe I've been blocked. Because what I basically do is I send a video birthday cake to whoever's birthday that was. But yeah, I just can't see the notification. So if you're in the UK, let us know. Obviously, if you're in another country, it may be different rules because I know they change things at different times.
Sure.
But yeah, it's I wonder how it's gonna feel on my birthday next year. I'm not gonna get the 100 LinkedIn birthday messages from people I don't know, which I really liked, and I wanna
Now,
say thank you
now,
to
one they can
everyone.
take away from me because I just don't want to see it anymore is the anniversary one.
Yeah.
I've never, I just don't know anyone who's like, thanks for letting me know I've worked here for 5 years. I just, even myself and Tony, right? So we're the two founders of the company. So this year we're getting loads of like, messages 5 years. And I live above Tony. I went down to see him the other day, and and he's just like, "You get messages on LinkedIn from people being like, congratulations." I'm like, for what? For what? The year one. That was the congratulations. Like 5 years in, it's the same old. We're just doing the same thing each year. And I think too many
Well,
people just hit like, well done, well done, well done, well done.
but it's interesting over the last 10 years how birthdays have changed online. I think maybe 10 years ago, I'd have got 100, 200 Facebook,
Totally.
yeah, and now this year, hardly any, like, and sorry, yeah, I feel really bad here, but yeah, I've hardly got any Facebook messages. I've got loads of LinkedIn messages, which kind of gave me the idea. But yeah, there's my own there, but it's always changing all the time
Yeah.
with how we send messages.
But but really annoying. And the fact it's one of the most annoying things about being involved in digital marketing is that you set a process like that. It makes sense. They're never taking away birthdays. I got a little thing which I happen to do personally. Send that e-cake. That's a really cool thing. I really like that. Like it's a nice thing to do, and it's not something I've seen people do. And then it just gets snatched away from you, or the algorithm says you can't do this anymore, or you can't do that anymore. Constant kick in the nuts, huh?
It's a bit of a bad idea because if you're a super senior CEO, potential client target, they probably tick the button, no birthday reminders anyway. So
Sure.
I'm sending it all out to people in my network. And the idea simply was it's an opportunity for me to reach out to everyone in my LinkedIn network once a year.
Nice.
And
Right,
I'm
a really simple mechanical process to make sure that I have ticked boxes and said, "Hey, how you doing?" Love it.
yes, second year I was gonna maybe do another cake or something different, or but at least I did the whole year. But anyway, it's over.
It's gone. It's over. Let it go, Paul. Just let
Yeah,
it go.
I, everyone's gonna be messaging saying, "Paul, it's only because you've been banned from sending."
Yeah, the rest of us are allowed to because we didn't send everyone a
Yeah,
birthday message, right? So
but
look, it's coming up to Christmas. I caught you earlier in your run where you're just going and pulling out ideas out of our beautiful London city. Let's talk about Christmas, right? What should people be looking at for Christmas? What ideas? What's a good
I think,
content creation ideas?
yeah, I try and obviously say what I'm thinking a lot of the times. And last month, I was thinking I've never did anything with baked beans as a company. We're called Baked Bean Media, but never done anything with beans. And it's the first thing I would say to a client, what is your brand? And so I decided to try and cook with baked beans every day. I like cooking, baked beans, and a marketing kit. Has it worked? Yes and no. So yeah, maybe a bit boring people seeing it, but it's an idea of creating some, and I get 10, 20 comments on each one. So yeah, I think
Sounds
it's a
like it's working.
bit different. But yeah, Christmas. So, and I do everything monthly, by the way. So I always think. So I'm thinking,
What do you do? Do you work on the month beforehand, looking at next month's content?
mm, not. We have got Hootsuite, and
Yeah,
we do sit down for Baked Bean Media, and we go through it as if we would for a client.
yeah.
But kind of Baked Bean Media and my own personal media, I kind of use me as a test,
Nice. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
and company more structured. That's
Yeah, makes
normal,
sense.
yeah. And my idea is something like Christmas, London, advent calendar. That's in my head right this second.
All good things,
So
all Christmassy.
yeah, um,
So what
maybe
about
London.
taking the 12 pools of Christmas? Get a picture, get something by you by a bunch of London landmarks on your
Yeah, I
runs.
think that's it. I think that's it. I think 24 could be potentially too much,
Yeah.
and maybe the first 12 days I'm not gonna go down with a song where you sing 12 things. That would be just too repetitive and boring.
Five baked
Yeah, yeah, I'm
beans.
not doing that. So,
No? All right. Okay.
yeah. I have done it before
Thought we had it.
on a American football podcast. I had players and famous commentators all singing one bit, and then I gave it to my business partner, Andy, and he had to edit everything down, and,
Long.
yeah, that was frustrating, and when you get to the 11th time, you kind of have to speed it up because it is getting very repetitive.
So I swung one way, and then I've been told to swing the other way by smarter people than who work for us. But I wasn't going to post anything on Christmas. I was saying to us, GL Pros, like, does anybody care? Blah blah blah. Grinch, humbug. I just want time off after this year. Is anyone going to be on LinkedIn? Is anyone going to be there? And what was awesome was for everyone to give a resounding, of course we're going to post at Christmas. It's Christmas. Like, it's Christmas. And I love Christmas. Like, I'm desperately waiting for 4 days time so we can get a nice big tree. And I love all Christmas at home, but I guess I've never associated it with work, and we've never gone big at Christmas at work and pushing out. We always do a Christmas message, but I'm already seeing little bits of design come out, which is Jay's Christmas message. So you got my head on top of the Queen, which I'm really into. I now have to make a good Christmas message.
That's good. That's good, like, original thing, like, yeah, thinking about what's classic to Christmas to you, and then using a social media or content creation idea.
Mm,
We're we are doing every month we like to work with one charity for free. So
nice.
the idea is every month we'll always do something video content for free, just to help. And if we can do more, we obviously will. But at least one piece every month, and we kind of stack it for the following year.
Nice.
And they are a charity, and they are going to do 12 days of Christmas, and they're going to have 45 seconds every day as an advent calendar opening, and
Nice.
with their partners saying, "Thank you very much for everything you do for our charity. We want to work with you next year."
Brilliant.
Personal message. So
It's like 45 client testimonials almost.
yeah,
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Every time I talk to businesses and people are trying to work out, they're like, what would I say? Oh, I mean, yeah, I know, but I don't want to just say that we're great or everything. There is something, a client testimonial has been around forever. You used to have to, call someone up and do basically an interview and then be like, right, I'll send it back to you once I've written it up, and then write it up and send it back to them. They'd be like, oh, I made all these changes because they're lies. And you'd be like, oh, sorry. Yeah. But, and then it moved to video, and video is really cool. You can take those ideas and do amazing things like that. Oh, and what a great piece to release. Every day they get to promote someone else themselves, get told how great they are as well. But it's just a simple client testimonial. But it's about thinking about how it's going to be a good idea.
yeah, it's really interesting. I struggle sometimes between the shall I be adding value? Shall I just be fun? Shall I try and do both together? And yet, automatically, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I'm going to add value. And we obviously in our world, we always think about like how you can add value, and there's obviously entertainment adding value as
Sure.
well. But yeah, like doing the baked beans, cooking every day, and trying to give a marketing tip just didn't feel right, didn't feel natural. So yeah, I haven't really worked it out yet, and it normally is the day before that I s- tell
Bing.
tell the company that I'm going to be doing this. And then obviously we've got a marketing team, and Andy, the editor, my business partner editor, he will also want to do something for Baked Bean Media as well. So there'll be two things going on. And
Mm.
yeah, I just find it an excuse to keep a good daily routine, especially during lockdown. I know we're coming out of it, but it really does keep you in mind thinking in a positive way.
Big time.
What can I do tomorrow? And little things like 5 years ago, I did the press up challenge, and I was just thinking, okay, I'm in Russia today. I'm going to do press ups outside here, or I'm going to check
What was the press up
in
challenge?
the stadium. Just
Is that like 100 press ups a day for 30 days?
2021 it was, yeah.
21.
Yeah, could be 22 actually.
I
Shouldn't.
think you're right. 21 for 21 days or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah,
21,
yeah,
21
sure,
days.
for the soldiers.
Yeah, and just trying to make it work. And sometimes you don't have the luxuries of being in London or near the sea, but I think you can always do it. Like I did a podcast every single day year on the Cleveland Browns, my American football team.
Wow, you're a Browns fan. Okay.
And on Christmas Day, I had to do a podcast, and no one did a podcast. The one person that would have made their day was my mum. She absolutely loved coming on a podcast. And I opened it up to everyone and said, "What questions do you want to ask Chrissy Brown on Christmas Day about your son?" and she went to town, you know, she destroyed me, and it was great fun. So, I think you've got to be creative around things that you've got already in your network. I think that's probably the most big.
It is, and it's why I always say to people as well. It's like it's very hard to create. It's very hard to just come up with something that's going to be really cool. It's a lot easier to document, and chances are what you're doing is really cool. And the thing which you're now doing like all the time, like editing, for instance, right? Editing is something where our guys have been doing it for 5 years, and they've been doing it every single day. Or or the guys who've just started have been doing it 8 hours a day for however long. It's not interesting. Whereas I look over the shoulder and I'm like, look, you're clicking things and there's colors and like now they're saying different stuff because you've made it like, pow! That's incredible to me. And we've really, over the last sort of 4 or 5 months, push back on what we're trying to do. And, let's not release a video where we're saying how to podcast because we're not trainers. Like I'm not a trainer. So like that is a message I want to get across. So we're sitting down and saying, well, how do we show that? And the simple answer was this. Let's be meta. I've got this Jaylee show that we can show it's live and then it goes as a podcast and it goes to that guy and he makes a video promo and then she gets a hold of it and releases it there and he makes an audiogram out of it. I'm like, that's the story. Like that's easy for us to create as opposed to one of us sitting there and being like, hello again. Stage 4 of setting up podcast mics and falling into this massive list of mics that could be released or into the minutia. And I think it's the same thing most businesses. They don't necessarily just say what you do. Like, what do you do? And what are you doing? Because that's probably really cool. And if someone's bought it and it's worth you working on it, I bet you someone else needs it. Like, I just bet you someone else needs that as well. So why not document it and show it? And I think that's the conversation I have most when people want to create a video, they want to create some sort of marketing campaign. Is like, yeah, but what are we going to say? Like it's so easy for everyone else to come up with ideas, but what are we going to say? We just do X, 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 X. And I'm always sat there being like, love that. Didn't know about that. Super interested in that. Tell me more about that, um, so which is why I love everything you guys are doing because I can see what you do. I see what you do. I can see how you do it. I can see the raft of different services you can give. And it's all out there for me to look at and be like, oh, one of those, please, Mr. Paul.
Yeah, there's no better feeling than seeing a friend have a corporate job and then suddenly he has a new passion and he spends his time on that passion on social media and you see him grow it and you can see him being creative. He's using camera skills, which he never had. I'm sure he never had. And now he's like taking really low, he's partnering up with other people and creating small videos across all platforms. And I just think it's like, kids today, they must be loving it because we may have played in parks and caused trouble the old way, but these kids are like now creating videos, dissing each other, their mates, and it's creative. Even though it's probably not very nice, but at least they're involved in a new topic and learning new skills.
Exactly, and finding a way to express themselves that isn't necessarily, like you say, down the park and at the bottom of a bottle of White Lightning. So listen, Paul, look, we try and keep these kind of short just so that we can make sure that people can consume it during their busy days. But people should go and follow you if they're going to come and follow you. Where do they go
obviously, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Paul Brown _UK.
Easy peasy. He's sorted out his at, so you can find him everywhere. We're not searching through thousands of Paul Browns being like, God damn, I hope this is the sexy guy I'm looking for. Paul, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
You doing LinkedIn Live was kind of inspirational for me to start doing it. So thanks a lot for inviting me on and
thanks, man.
Yeah, no, it's really good, mate. And I'll give you some abuse. Do more content because I was like watching some of the stuff you were doing a year ago in a London taxi, and it's cool, and just
it's getting it out there. And I tell you, the hardest thing has been this year is putting new stuff into the funnel when I'm stuck. I'm high risk because I've got asthma, so I've been stuck very much at home. No, I can still go out. I just haven't. But how much do you want to see with one background? But you're absolutely right. It's more stuff. It looks a little bit more interesting. And okay, I'll take the challenge. That's my 2021 is up the game. Oh, I can hear a groan collectively over the ether from the rest of the GL Pro boys and girls who are now like, oh, Jesus, more of his face.
The
But
question is, who's going to be the editing, you or Tony?
it ain't me. I know it ain't me, and it probably isn't Tony. If we're gonna do, if we're gonna push it up, that's gonna land on a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Paul, thank you so much for
No
joining
worries,
us,
buddy.
guys. This is our
Anytime.
last show. This is our last Daily Show of the year. I'm taking December off, but this has been a year now that we've been posting out the Daily Show, and I just want to thank everyone for all of the likes and comments and all the awesome guests, because you've made it awesome, and otherwise it'd just be me saying awesome over and over and over again. Paul, thanks very much,
Take care,
and
guys.
catch you next year, guys.
Cheers.